Okay, so before this video starts, I would just like to say I'm sorry for some of my appalling driving I actually do in this race. I was really mentally tired, and it does show in a few of the corners. Anyways, shout out to MJ in charge of the pit lane for this race. MJ, real OG member of staff. Worked at Preston, but if anyone doesn't know, Preston did burn down, so yeah. Anyways, this is a very interesting kart. I'm in kart 9 now. Kart 9 did a 58.3 last week when I drove it, so I knew it was somewhat decent. I'm driving it today, but it seems like it's had a bit more wear since I last drove it. It was very slidey. I was getting a lot of understeer pretty much on every corner that I couldn't afford to lose grip on. So yeah, this will be a nice race. I think this is the race where I sit behind Tommy Lee for the majority of it, maybe in the second half of the video. If anyone doesn't know, Tommy Lee is yeah, he wins pretty much every member race currently that he intends. I think I spoke to his mum, and she said he's got 42 trophies at home or something, which is pretty nuts. But it's always nice to follow a driver like him, just because it's a bit more competitive, as he's one of the fastest who races here now, and also you like to challenge yourself. I think in terms of weight category, we're not far off. I probably weigh 5 kilos more or something, so it's not really much in it. But really nice to race behind him, as I was trying to work out what he does differently towards me, because if I watch every race he ever races, he's low 58s all the time. In this race he does a 58.2, and in this race, believe it or not, I do a 58.3, and it's probably just because I'm tailing Tommy in the last half of the video. So yeah. Also, shout out to Chloe. I promised her a shout out, as I mistakenly commented on Beth in a race I did a week ago or so, saying she was one of the only girls who race here. But I've not really had much opportunity to race with Chloe. Chloe is another girl who races here. She's another member, and she sits somewhere in the 59-second bracket. So shout out to her, and I'm sorry. I'm really sorry that I forgot to mention you. It's not that I forgot, it's just that we've not raced. Well, we raced Santa Karts, but we both came off early, so it didn't really count. Anyway, she was in the other group because there was 2 groups tonight, so I still didn't race with her. But just to let you know, she is here, and she is racing. Yes, a girl who races with us. One of 2 I can think of right now. Right, let's get going on my driving anyways. Like I said, my driving is, I'd say, somewhat abysmal. My concentration, my focus was just bad. It doesn't actually look like it now watching it back. I look like I'm racing pretty fine, but I didn't feel mentally all there yesterday. I was falling asleep. I even admitted to Tommy when I was following him, I felt like I was going to fall asleep. Not because I was bored, just because I was just super tired. So yeah, right, let's commentate on the actual race and what I do well and what I don't do well. This hairpin tonight, it was one of my worst corners. I kept braking either too late, and I was falling into the little bump that really hurts your ribs, which I'm not really a fan of. This apex, see, that didn't look too bad, but I'm pretty sure it felt worse than what it was. And through that chicane, I wasn't getting any grip at all. You notice that I am clipping a lot of barriers unintentionally. This was one of my better corners throughout the night, believe it or not. And this corner here, you can see that I have changed my line. If you watch a video and compare it to one that I made 3 or 4 weeks ago, that line is a lot wider now. I do carry more speed into this sector, which I guess it does help if you're getting the grip. in the other parts of the track. Like I said, I do a 58.3 in this race, so it's done me somewhat good in adapting to that line. Now, Mackenzie Jones was racing as well. I'm not sure if he jumped onto this session. He might have jumped onto this session, but I didn't see him. Mackenzie is the lap record holder currently, and yeah, unfortunately he booked on quite late, so he was only able to get into session 2, which I wasn't actually on. But I think he might have jumped onto this session, and he does a 58.2 as well. I think there was 4 of us who ranged from a 58.1 to a 58.4 of the 3 races. We was pretty consistent tonight. Last night, I should say. So yeah, I was actually expecting to do a run over commentary at this video and be really appalled at some of my cornering, but it doesn't actually look too bad. But you can see there how wide I've gone. I've literally hit the dip and you can see my camera bounce. I've got the stability in the super view angle to correct any bumps, so it's not as noticeable, but it really does bang my rib. And that apex, every single time I went round, I either completely missed it or I tapped it. Same with that chicane, I've done the same, and I've hit that wall as well, and I've tapped that, and I've clipped that. Yeah, just a night where my concentration clearly wasn't 100%. So this is the first person I'm catching up all race. This was a full 18. I think there was 18 people on track, and you definitely wouldn't believe me if I said there was 18 on the track, because you wouldn't think it at all. We're all decently fast. I mean, this guy's not the fastest. I try and squeeze through the gap, but it just closes me out straight away. Maybe not so much of an experienced member. So I know that Tommy's behind me, and I need to get past this person. I go for this angle, yeah, and he just moves over, completely respects the fact that I'm there, and I gave him the little thumbs up. Now, believe it or not, I was getting a lot of grip through this fast straight, which was probably helping my lap times. I think in the first race of the night, which I'm not going to upload because my driving was probably worse, I did a 58.9. In the second race I did a 58.5. 3 of us did a 58.5. It was a very close second race with me, Alex and Tommy Lee. Yeah, in this race I do a 58.3. And to be honest with you, yeah, I can kind of understand how I've done it. Now you see, I move over for Tommy Lee, and he thanks me for it. And now this is where I need to watch him closely, because he's literally one of the fastest members who has ever raced on this track. So this is an ideal opportunity now to watch someone's race lines who's in front of you, who actually knows how to race. I can see he's also suffering with a bit of grip issues, but usually when you're suffering with grip issues, your car is just a tiny bit faster. And yeah, he's pulled away with me a little bit here. I'm not too sure. I don't know what car he's in. I think he was in car 5. I think. But I've never rated the car, mainly because I don't think I've ever had it. But it must have been good. 58.2. You can never complain about those times. So you can see that I am trying my best to really cut the corners and ensure I don't drift too far away from Tommy, because I really need to be behind him. In terms of the whole lap, there's not really much that I've done different to him. Like I said, my concentration just wasn't fully there. I can see Tommy again with his bit of grip. It seems like he's just pulling away from me on this little bit for some reason. I've never actually realised until I'm watching it now. And then when it comes to cornering, I'm pulling back the few milliseconds. Probably why we finished the race so close together, to be honest. Like 100,000th of a second in a few races that we actually did together. Now, Tommy actually raced all 6 races, so he raced in my session and the other session. Not really sure how people do it. Him and Alex did the same, which, if you race Warrington a lot, you will know how physically demanding this track is. I know my rib gets hurt, probably just my height when I'm in the seat, because I use a seat insert. So if I do hit a really awful bump, like this fast corner, if you go narrow, you'll hit a bump, that hurts my rib. The last hairpin, which I keep going wide on and hitting the bump, that hurts my rib too. But I was kind of avoiding it because I was expecting it, so I was leaning more right. Maybe I'll do it on this lap if I miss it. Anyways, I'm not exactly losing Tommy, so this is great. I know not losing Tommy means that I'm going pretty fast. He did a 58.1 in the first race of the night, which I think is pretty formidable, considering it's not been raced well all night until now. Now this lap, I'm assuming we catch these two up. Yeah, I'd almost say I'm bipolar through that chicane today. Every line was different. It's really hard to see on the super view angle. It kind of looks the same, but when I was racing it, it just felt different. You can see how different my line is through the sector now. It is all about speed and not the exit. Like I said when I spoke to Mackenzie, he did say that I focus more on exits and not the speed. I did take it into account to see if it actually made a difference, and I'm either lucky and getting good karts, or the temperature of the track's good, or it's not so dusty. But it does seem to be working for me. I can't get back into my old habit of going for the exits anymore. I just seem to have stuck with that, and now I'm there. But it is working. So Tommy did get past this guy, and he's let me pass straight away. The reason they've probably done that is because he knows that me and Tommy are racing. We are notoriously fast. I think in this race, 5 of us did 58s, which again is pretty incredible. The rest of the pack probably did 1 minute 1minute 2s max. So yeah, like I said, for 18 people on the track, you wouldn't think it, because there's only 2-3 seconds in some of us. But it's all good. Like I said, if you're racing overtime race sessions like these, well, this is 3 for 2, but we're not racing for anything. We're not racing for trophies. We're not racing for positions in a race. We can just all have respect and let the faster drivers through. Ideally, you should be letting... someone spun out there. Ideally, you should be letting the faster drivers go past if you're not racing for a trophy or something. There's really no point in holding up the faster driver. You will hold yourself up, and you'll hold them up for no reason. Like, we're here to have fun. If you're here to beat your PB or something, then yeah, it's better to let the faster driver through, and then hopefully, if you can, follow their racing line, like I'm kind of doing with Tommy. This is actually a lot closer than I thought. There was a few instances where I did lose him on the fast straight somehow, but when it came to the corners, my car may have had a little bit more grip than his, so it became quite a close race. The gap opened, right, that there, coming out the pit lane into the racing line without even checking is probably the most dangerous thing you can do, especially when it's me and Tommy who's coming through this straight line. Like, we're maxing out the go-kart, we've just gone down the straight, we're probably at 42 mile an hour, and then someone comes out the pit lane at 5 mile an hour in the racing line. What you should do is, if you're coming out the pit lane, immediately move over to the right, because there is no possible way, if you're a fast racer, you are going to hit anyone. if you move over to the right, it's literally impossible for the person coming through the straight to move over to the right without skidding out anyway. But yeah, just needs a little bit more care coming out the pit lane there. That could have been disastrous, but fortunately, I'm always looking way ahead of me, so I saw the person coming out the pit lane before I got there. No, I'm still behind Tommy. As you can see, our lines literally aren't any different. And I think this might be the end of the race. Is it the end of the race? Yes, it is. So yeah, there's a good, probably 9 minutes or so behind Tommy. And this is the first time I've ever actually had a kart that's kept up with Tommy. Usually, when he's racing, I get a dog of a kart that's probably nearly a second slower in some instances. I know when we had Chase the Ace, him and Jack Bate just pulled off, and I think Jack was a full second ahead of me in his kart compared to the kart I was in. And now that video is on YouTube, and you can see the gap that they pull. And I do nothing wrong in the entire race, but I just lose the gap. Well, I lose all the distance when it comes to the straights because my car had no straight line speed. But anyways, that's the first time I've raced closely with Tommy Lee. Like I said, one of the faster members, probably one of the fastest members. I'd be surprised if he doesn't hit a 57-second lap before winter is completely over, because he's a solid racer. Give him a nice little fist bump here, and yeah, that is the end of the race.